Oh, okay. Well, do you have a better hypothetical then?
Okay. Bill Gates offers you $1 million.
Oh no, these! What is it? What's that hypothetical?
No, that's the end of it.
Oh, that's the hypothetical? He just comes
That's
and
the
gives you
end
$1
of
million?
Yeah.
Well, I'm in. Hello everybody and welcome back to Duckletts Draft. We're in week 6 of Teal Division, the penultimate week. I'm Cabral, coach of the Hashlingy H-Slashers. Joining me...
Spood, coach of the Southtown Sand Slashers.
We're getting there to week 7. I'm actually so excited. I feel like I don't really absorb Double Dip having gone by until it's gone by.
I wish I was you. This season has been excruciating pain. I'm so ready for it to be over.
It's over soon, don't worry. But
It's over soon.
We're talking about Teal Division. Speaking of over soon, we had to find out who's not making it into playoffs this week.
Yeah, so this is, week 6 should be focused mostly, I think, on paths to playoffs, right? Like, how can you get in, who can get in, who is out?
Yeah.
And in Teal, you still going into week 6, 7 different people can go.
Yeah.
Only Dan of the Downtown Dragonites is out. Definitively, he can't get in.
Yeah.
But there are 4 people who are sitting at a 2-3 record, and all 4 of those people are fighting another person in that group, right? It's Nihilus versus Firebolt, they're both 2-3. It's ASCII versus Snake, they're both 2-3. So, very straightforward. Whoever wins those matches has a chance.
Yeah.
Whoever loses is out. They're joining Dan in the I'm not going to playoffs club. So those are some massive stake matches. Scoots has already locked in the top bye. Even if he gets back-to-back 6-0'd, he's ending at 5-2 plus 12.
Yeah.
I guess it's not necessarily a total locked-in bye looking at it, but, let's be real, he's not going to get back-to-back 6-0'd. And, Kracked Kricketunes really the only person who looks likely to be able to steal that top bye, but the nice thing about Teal is that they have 2.
Yep.
So the question, I think, is more so between Not Pimp and Chemith, who is going to take that second bye? But also, Not Pimp and Chemith can still both fall out.
Yeah. And that's just
the
crazy.
Only safe spot is Scoots.
Yeah, because even Kracked Kricketunes, as unlikely as it is, can just fall out like you were just saying. Because a 4-1, well, if you lose 2 more times, that's a 4-3, and you have
3-0.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, the thing is, so between Snake and ASCII and Firebolt Nihilus, right? Let's pretend Snake wins, Nihilus wins, right?
Yeah.
If that happens, those guys go up to 3-3 each. They're not playing each other in the final week. So they can both go up to 4 wins, and suddenly you can have 5 people at 4 wins.
Yeah.
And then you can actually fall out. So even with your 4-1-12, you're not safe. You're only safe if you're Dumblespoods Army at your 5-0-24. Which, by the way, just to note, far and away the best differential out of any division. It's not even close. It's 7 higher than the next highest, which is IDM.
Yeah. And I think this is one of the few seasons where we've had... I think last season we had another high scorer, but this is one of the few seasons where someone's been that definitively high. It's not super common, I feel like.
I would disagree. I know that Vincent ended the last season in a really high diff.
Yeah.
IDM, generally speaking, ends at a very high diff, although he tends to have some trouble in the later weeks, it feels like. But definitely, Vincent came out of Pearl.
I know last season
was
for
high
Vincent.
diff.
I was trying to think of the seasons before that, but then again, I don't have all the knowledge of those seasons, so maybe I should have just held my tongue instead.
Oh well, we love talking when we don't know what we're talking about, don't we?
Absolutely. Well, what are we talking about coming up here next, though? Do we know about that?
Yeah, well, we are talking about match number 1 of week number 6 of division number Teal. This is Chemith of the washed up Wishiwashis versus Dan of the Downtown Dragonites.
Yeah.
This is Dan's second game. Once again, just worth noting, he did take over for Skittles, who dropped out after week 4. So he had a chance to whet his appetite a little bit with a match of, I believe, versus ASCII.
Yep. He got swept by Wartortle.
Got swept by Wartortle, yeah. It was a 5-0. It was pretty tough. So going into this, I mean, it's hard to do worse than getting 5-0'd. But also, you know, you are going up against Kenneth, who pretty merciless player. I'm gonna be real. He does not tend to lose to lower tier players. I think that his losses are pretty concentrated at the higher end of the player skill. And you know, he came to kill again. I mean, looking at that team.
Yeah, and the thing is he just wants to win this game because that will help him guarantee that playoff spot coming up in the following week.
Oh yeah. He will feel a lot more comfortable if he can pick up this win, because his main competitor right now that is, you know, threatening to take his playoff spot or his second bye is Not Pimp, and Not Pimp has to fight Scoots this week, which is a very tough match for him to win. So very realistically, Kenneth takes this win, takes it by a lot. He's gonna have to wring this guy out like a dish towel. Like I unfortunately, you know, I think a lot of us want to have fun and bring goofy stuff and be nice to new competitors if we can help it. But sometimes your season demands that you crush the guy in front of you like a bulldozer.
Well, I'm excited to watch that crushing take place. So if we can and shall begin this fight with Terrapagos leading and Electro coming out, probably doing some sort of para or like Volt switching.
Yeah, Volt switch can pop the Terra shell. Para is good to well buy. Yeah, I mean that's hard. Like Terra Starstorm is a ridiculously hard move to switch into, and he doesn't actually have any ghosts or steel types or any, you know, resists natively.
Yeah, getting powdered by a compound-ized Pavilion always sucks.
Yup. Not much you can do about that. Obviously, Sleep Clause is in effect, so you can't do it again. But
and then Surf comes right out, just kills whatever comes in.
Hydreigon actually really should have come in. It does resist water and is immune to ground.
Oh, that's so true.
But maybe he was worried about like a potential Ice Punch or something. Like maybe he's thinking too many steps ahead.
Yeah. That's a shame.
Fumbles the Custap Berry there. Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah.
I don't know if he really could have gotten much value out of it for what it's worth, but like, you know, using the Custap Berry to endure to just take more damage and get nothing done is...
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, he could have hit with like a move and probably killed the villain at least.
If it had like Stone Edge or something, yeah, but you know, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Respectfully.
So
also, yeah, this thing, big brick break.
Yeah.
Grimmsnarl really doesn't actually do a great job of touching this thing with a Terra Steel.
Yeah. Parting shot though, dropping it down, and it's just not doing a lot of damage. Getting rid of that last little bit of screens, but at this point, Como's free to.
But after the parting shot,
set up.
Yep, sub up. And if you're a double dip long timer, you've seen this one before.
Yep.
Sub Salic Berry Belly Drum Como.
I've only seen the Magmortar set. What's this one?
Well, this is what the Magmortar set is based on. You know? Magmortar is the Little Tykes Como.
Yeah, that's fair.
This thing
is Little Tykes.
It's really hard to switch into this thing. Especially after, you know... Yeah, there's just nothing to do, unfortunately.
Yeah. Ending at full health, by the way, for this thing.
Yeah, to deal with this, you either need to stop it before it gets going, you need like a really strong multi-hit Scarfer, like a Scarf Triple Axle, you need, you know, something with Infiltrator or like a sound-based move that can hit behind sub, you need like a fast Haze. None of those things on Dan's team.
Yeah.
And Como just runs right over him as soon as it gets an opportunity to get in front of something that can't force it out.
Yeah, and at that point, he already lost so much momentum with his other Pokemon. Electrode being the fastest thing he had, being gone, could not deal with, you know, Como just setting up and just running amok, because Dan seems not the fastest.
No, it isn't. I mean, he has a lot of good priority, which is helpful. But again, there's only so far that's going to take you. Like, he did break the sub, which is good. Maybe if he had like some kind of banded ice shard somewhere, he could have made it work. And you know, Como at +1 speed is not that fast either. So like any quick Scarfer on your team could also...
Charizard Dragon Dance, if it had an opportunity set up, also probably outspeeds this too.
Yeah, but again, it's a lot of shoulda, woulda, coulda, and I don't blame anyone for not prepping for this Como, because Cam has been very hesitant about bringing a setup sweeper Como. It's been a lot of very defensive, sort of, you know, stealth rocky, boom bursty.
Yeah, it also hasn't come super frequently, I feel like. Maybe 2 or 3 games? Maybe 4? I feel like it hasn't come super often, though.
I mean, let me check that. I can check that.
We can always confirm, because I know Terapagos has come, Scyther's come and set up sweeps, Swamper's come quite a bit, Grimmsnarl has come to set up screens on other matches as well.
Yeah, Como is taken to 4 games.
Oh, okay.
That's just most of the time.
Okay, so most of the time it's come. Okay.
But yeah, that was a definitive, a very brutal 6-0 out of Kenneth into Dan, which is unfortunately the one thing that can happen to you that is worse than getting 5-0 your first week.
Yeah, but for Kenneth, that's fantastic. That helps him just get even closer to that second bye.
Yeah, that is a huge value 6-0. He really, really needed that. You know, some people like, and again, this is kind of the Woody conundrum where like a lot of people early on got their 6-0s into Skittles and then Skittles stopped being the player. Mm-hmm. So if Dan started outperforming Skittles, that could have caused some real waves to people who hadn't gotten their Skittles win yet.
Yeah.
So Kenneth making that the 6-0 that it probably would have still been if it were Skittles. I agree. You and me, Jill, we're like this.
She said sorry.
That's fine.
Well, on that loud yawn and apology, we do have another team to look at, which is Not Pimp of the Cracked Kricketunes versus Scoot33 of Dumblespoods Army. Crazy he has still just kept that name after all these years, because he's had that since Season 1, hasn't he?
He's had that since SSL. He's never not been Dumblespoods Army. So that's 2016. He's been Dumblespoods Army for 8 years, which is an insane thing.
That's an insane thing. But we see some teams. In fact, I see some old friends of yours here on Cracked Kricketunes team.
So you sure do. That is Walking Wake and Sandy Shocks, who I traded to Not Pimp. We would have seen this trade kick in week 5, but unfortunately, Not Pimp needed some time to think on it, which is fair. I only asked him on the Sunday right before, so like I didn't want to like push him and be like, all right, man, come on, you get like 6 hours to give me your S tier, So that's fair. It's on me. I should have thought of doing something like that sooner, but the Vulpix was really not hacking it over in Scarlet Division, but a Ninetales is actually a real Pokemon, and he has been using it a lot. And I think this pairs very nicely with Slitherwing, which was a Pokemon that I really wanted from drafting that I wasn't able to get because, again, Not Pimp sniped it. So I think we did a little bit of I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I think that he has a really good team comp and a very good division, even though it's not going to be there for that long, to abuse Walking Wake in.
I do see Scoots also bringing Minior, which I feel like I've seen him bring, but never use once.
You know what's funny about Minior is, and this is something that Aurora said, because Aurora did draft Minior way back in Gen 7 when it was around, because it wasn't in Gen 8.
Yeah.
Aurora said it's the most, like, it looks great on paper Pokemon, and then it just always sucks. It never actually does anything.
I also see Weavile and Leafeon both have put in a lot of work for Scoots in other seasons. I've had Leafeon before, it's just, it goes fast in Sun, and I see Sun actually here. As well as Photosynthesis, I imagine, because that's the only ability it gets over on Thunderous Clapper.
That's right, Thunderous Clapper.
That is what it's called. It's not called anything else other than Thunderous Clapper.
My friend Big Neckington over there is very powerful in the sun. Now, one of the things that I told Not Pimp when I was trying to sell him on the trade, I was like, check this calc out. A max special attack, modest photosynthesis boosted Thunderclap does not kill Walking Wake.
That's
Walking
insane.
Wake kills back to the Dragon Pulse.
Really?
So it's, straight up. So like that was part of why I was like, dude, check this out. You're gonna love it. And so I actually think Wake does really good into this team. It's not actually weak to grass, it's part dragon, so Leafeon doesn't scare it that much. It can do a ton of damage, like a Hydro Steam photosynthesis special attack boost into Tinglu. Like, sorry, I don't care that that's a Tinglu, dude. It's a lot of damage.
It's a lot.
Does well into Minior, not weak to ice, because again, it's part water, so Weavile doesn't scare it like that much. It's annoyed by the fake out spam, for sure, but, not Pimp, like, if he plays around it, I think Wake looks so scary into the end game, and I don't think it takes that much positioning to make it scary. Yeah,
I think these two teams are really built well overall. Like, I'm looking at them, they both hit each other hard in certain areas, but then they also, like, they feel really well made to, like, fight each other. You know what I mean? It feels like a proper, like, big fight gonna happen.
Yeah, and I mean, so When I say there's a lot on the line here, this is really more in regards to both of these players have a very good chance, and I mean Scoots specifically is guaranteed to go to playoffs. While NotPimp is not guaranteed to go to playoffs, the odds are very good that he is going to be going. So really, NotPimp is playing for the second bye.
Yeah.
You know, Teal having 2 byes means that these games that you're playing, you know, more so than like maybe in Scarlet Division or in Violet, where you have somebody, actually it's not at all like that in Violet anymore, but like in Scarlet Division, when you have someone who's undefeated going into week 7, who's just not going to lose their top spot, you're not even playing for the bye. You're playing for better seeding, which is still important, but not nearly as important as being able to skip a whole round of playoffs for free.
Yeah.
So NotPimp needs to lock in, and I think he has a really good looking team. Like Slitherwing looks really good. You know, if anything, looking at Scoots' team, I worry it's a little passive. You know, there's a lot of roadblocks set up to me. You know, like walking weight can be very scary. Speed control, you know, Minior can be scary, but like it has a really hard time dealing with like Sandy Shocks without burning a Terra. If it burns a Terra, you know, there's potential speed control in Trick Room Porygon. He can spread status. Like, I think that the matchup looks really good for NotPimp.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's no other way to find out other than just to actually watch these two duke it out with Slithering starting and Ambipom coming out.
Yep. If you see Ambipom, you know it's going to click fake out.
Yeah.
That's just the always thing.
I dropped the thing.
Oh no, NotPimp with a very early Terra, but that's fine. He does like the Terra this UT, and it has been a huge pain in the ass. I think it was in Fireball? Or no, he hasn't fought Fireball yet. But there was somebody, maybe it was my brother, who this thing was like a real menace. It was just spreading thunder wave everywhere.
I think it was your brother.
And there you see them just locked into knocking off over and over, predicting the other to switch, but no one goes.
Yeah.
And eventually NotPimp does switch out, but he gets the full Paris, so we'll never know if Scoots would have knocked this thing off.
Yeah. I wonder how much damage a Solar Beam from Ninetales actually does to a Tinglu.
I don't even know if it 2-shots, I'm going to be honest.
Probably not.
Because it's not stab and it's not like boosted by the sun as far as its damage, so like that overheat may straight up have done more.
Yeah. Close combat doing some big damage on Leafeon here.
No U-turn. I think that a U-turn probably would have been better.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, you know, it doesn't really matter. He does have to burn a sack there, but it turns out this thing is Life Orb, so nothing doing. And now this thing is scary. This is something that you want to close combat into.
Yeah.
Not disagree.
Yeah, well, that's
See ya. That's fine. I think that's a solid switch anyway.
Yeah.
This thing is so especially bulky.
Calm Minding on this thing. Ice Beam doing 25 still, so, you know, another one would actually
you're good.
Oh, especially if you live, you do just kill it.
Thanks, Ash, man. Shout out to Focus Band. That's not really what it
Focus Band.
It's funny. And now here, this is where, you know, you can hard switch, but maybe you expect this to try to kill you because it's afraid of being Thunder Wave. But if you don't have Thunder Wave and you're only doing 32%, you're not even 3-hit KOing it. Suddenly this thing can actually just set up over and over. It can just sort of Swords Dance forever. And
yeah. Well, I mean, he's brought it down low now, and, you know, Weavile's not the bulkiest thing, so if there's like a priority move of some sort here, then maybe...
First impression or something, but...
well... That's okay.
Now, in hindsight, I mean, we know that that was Scarfed and was not running First Impression, but still, that Ice Shard was very smart from Scoots to, you know, guarantee that wouldn't be an issue. But now this is just faster than everything. Especially this is also, you know, not that it would have mattered. I think an Ice Shard probably would have still killed, but it was not speed boosting. It was special attack boosting photosynthesis, and this thing double dies.
I mean, it's just being max attack with a Weavile, because that's like, what, 115 base attack? 120? Something like that?
I think it's like 130.
Is it 130? It might be 130. It's a ton of attack, and you're maxed out.
Our beautiful baby boy Flareon is a 130. I don't know if that is the same.
I cannot believe Flareon's a 130 base attack. Can I just say that's bonkers?
Oh, hold on, the wrong team. Wait, that's funny. NotPimp has Sneasel on his team, but he didn't bring it to fight Weavile.
Oh,
maybe that was the problem, is that you didn't bring the little baby version.
Well, there's always next
time. I'm almost there.
I believe in you. You got this. Either way, that does give Scoots the win. And
okay, no, it's 120.
Oh, okay. That does give Scoots the win, though, and that guarantees his bye, his first place, because at this point, no one can replace him up at the top, and that puts him up to, I believe that's 28 now in diff.
Something like that, yeah.
I'll have to double check that at the end.
We'll spend more time, you know, obviously we're going to get pretty granular with the standings at the end, but Now that we've kind of got the top end of the division done, and we're looking, we're feeling pretty confident about how the buys are going to shake out, how, what the top 3 order is going to look like. Now we need to start talking about number 4. Who is going to clinch that playoff spot between Nihilus, coach of the Dallas Duckletts, and Firebolt, coach of the Northern Ninetales? Now, the winner of this is not guaranteed to go to playoffs, but the loser is guaranteed not to. So everything is on the line. This is your tournament life. This is your last stock if you're a melee head.
I like that. And again, the numbers are so close once you start getting down into these lower numbers, right? Because Nihilus at this point, I believe, is at I can find out quickly, actually, just to ensure, at a -10, but still, if he plays really well, that can still bump him into where he needs to go, depending how ASCII and Snake go in the next match coming up after this one. Because a -10 is not that far away if he does really well against Firebolt here, and Firebolt can lose his placement.
It's also possible for him to wind up as the last person with 4 wins, and then everybody else has 3 wins, at which point, it doesn't matter how good his diff is, he just wins and he gets to go in on win-loss alone.
Yeah.
So, Nihilus, a bit of a sloppy start to the season, has had some bad luck, compounded with some unfortunate team-building decisions, especially into ASCII early on, that put him on the back foot, but I think he's been making a recovery, and he's looking very scary. Firebolt, on the other hand, I think also started off, he also got 6-0'd week 1. Has played maybe a little more consistent. He's kind of dotting his wins and losses across the rest of the season. He actually beat ASCII, who beat Nihilus. So, interesting kind of circular head-to-heady thing going on into this matchup.
Yeah, and as much as we could sit here and talk about the teams, which I see a few staples that have come almost every week almost every week for Firebolt. I do see like Excadrill, Ninetales, and Dusknoir and Goodra who have come a lot of the times, I feel like. As much as we can talk about all that, though, I think we should just kind of find out what happens by watching the fight.
Why don't we?
Excadrill start. My goodness, I can't say Excadrill today.
Man, you're really the Swedish chef in it.
I really am. I love Chef. We do see a big earthquake come in and do so much back to Excadrill, and Rapid Spin just kills it, get rid of rocks.
Very unfortunate. Yeah, I think that was just a straight up misplay from Firebolt's end.
Yeah, we see
now,
it.
God, this thing, again, after the snow buff, dude, this thing just lives hits like nobody's business. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Freeze dry.
It still lives a water pulse.
Yep, Nihilus does not want that thing to get any lower. Firebolt opts to switch. Good, he doesn't necessarily want to let this thing get into position to start setting up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Firebolt, playing a little passively, allows this thing to get up stealth rocks after his spinner is dead, which means that Ninetales cannot come back in.
Yeah. We do see Ninetales finally die.
Yeah, it's already revealed that it was light clay, so it doesn't have boots. Now, this thing is cool. This is a cool Magic Card set. It's Trick Flame Orb, so Nihilus hands it right on over to Dusknoir. Gets burned itself and decides, you know what, actually, I'm going to take that back. You know what, I want that. And that's good on Nihilus' end because he can hand that right over to somebody else. And with Magic Guard, he's not taking burn damage. Yep. He's not risking getting paralyzed by any random, paralysis that might come banging down the chute.
And Poltergeist just not doing enough at this point.
Yeah, Dusknoir just doing no damage at all. Firebolt not really going for any kind of, progressive positioning. He's kind of just hitting moves into things that don't take damage from them and letting things die. Here he totally blunders into this shrimp. This Clawitzer. Gets the crit, but that's as good as that's going to be.
Yeah. Out for the count with that. Jirachi coming back in, but this thing learns Dark Pulse, I'm pretty sure, and clicks that.
It certainly does. And I don't know what the sub was for. I don't really... Even a Water-type move would have just straight up not broken it. But all he did was put himself lower, so now Dark Pulse definitely kills.
Yeah.
Ninetales dies on rocks, and now it is Goodra against the world.
Goodra does kill this. I'm a little surprised we didn't see a switch into Duraludon, but could have been expecting a Dragon move to come in and try and hit this thing immediately. Like Dragon
Yeah.
Tail.
I mean, if you need the win more than the diff, you might as well do whatever it takes to play safe and lock it up.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's true. And yeah, that actually did get locked up and tidied away. Ninetales getting the 4-0 over Firebolt and really putting him in a good place to potentially make playoffs.
He is clinging to life. Unfortunately, Firebolt, who struggled through this season, he really, put up a lot of good fights. That is where his run is going to end. He is not going to be able to make a forward run, given his win-loss. Very tragic, but huge for Ninetales, who definitely, I mean, it was looking pretty touch and go there, but now he's right back to having a real shot. And you know what? He's made it into playoffs the last, one, maybe 2 seasons in a row. Like, he's been looking really good.
And I'm hoping he keeps looking good as he goes into the playoffs because I'm really excited to see who actually makes it after Week 7. We'll have a good idea, I think, after this next match. But there's still so many little ifs and ands that are left for this final week coming up soon. But until then, we do have our final match of ASCII of the Philadelphia Phantumps versus Snake of the Miami Milotics. And I see a few staples that Snake has brought pretty frequently. Gastrodon East is coming out. I see Low Kicks. Propass coming again, and I feel like he's gotten a lot of use out of Propass this season.
Yeah, once again, sorry, Ninetales, we are celebrating your wins here and all, but we can't forget that Propass did pretty much solo Ninetales' whole team.
It really did.
It has been very high value ever since Week 1, really. Mm-hmm. It's done more for his team than Chi-Yu, if we're being completely honest, which is very funny.
Yeah.
Chi-Yu, as I kind of did predict while we were doing the tiering, has not been able to, obviously it's an amazing Pokemon, it can be a very centralizing just damage dealer, but just the base 100 speed, the really frail defensive typing, it opens itself up to being hit by Mach Punch, Extreme Speed, Aqua Jet,
Earthquake,
and it takes 25 on rocks.
Yeah. So
you want it to be Scarfed and Specs and Nasty Plot and Boots all at the same time, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Chi-Yu has just not been the right set for the right game, pretty much ever this whole season so far.
Yeah, but I do see someone that's brought a few fun sets before, like Murkrow down over there.
Yeah, ASCII has been, pretty much Theseus is shipping their team over the course of this season. It feels like it starts to look similar week to week, but he's kind of just swapping one at a time is what it feels like. Now War Turtle's gone and we've got Sneasel, we're in our Kilowattrel Murkrow arc here. He's got some stuff that he definitely feels comfortable bringing now. And I mean, into this team, Ogerpon looks really great if you can just deal with the, it has Spiky Shield and it runs it often, so you can prevent Low Kicks from hitting you with a really nasty first impression. The only thing you really need to be worried about is Tornadus, but Kilowattrel can scare out Tornadus and can actually pretty freely switch into it too.
Yeah, other than Gastrodon, Volt Switch is kind of a nice thing to just click, honestly. But with that being said, oh no, I did it! No, I tried the whole episode.
I was listening for it. I was gonna point it out when you did it. You hadn't done it. So
I was working on it. I was trying my hardest. That's why I've been talking so slow and intentional.
Yeah, I think ASCII needs early rocks here. It does really good into Chi-Yu and Tornadus and Low Kicks. That's all I was gonna say.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. So let's go ahead and take a look at how things play out in this match with Murkrow starting like every other week and probably clicking Rain Dance. Yep, there it is.
Actually, it's funny. After pointing that out, I've just realized ASCII is weaker to rocks because 4 things weak to it instead of 3.
Oh, well. Survives
getting up that early rain.
That's crazy.
Evilight's a hell of a drug, man.
Yeah, it is.
Probopass coming in. Obviously eats a Hurricane, no problem. What is more surprising is that it actually lives a Weather Ball.
That is crazy. This thing's bulky. Meteor Beam coming out and just killing this thing, though.
Very cool set.
Hey, it's weak. It'll probably die off here in just a second.
Yeah, I mean, Ogerpon can kill it with pretty much any move. It can sneeze on it and it'll die.
Yeah.
But ASCII's like, you know what? I'm a Swords Dance. Stop me if you can. Stop me if you can. I dare you to stop me.
That's a full pair right there.
That's back-to-back full pairs.
2 Meteor Beams.
Hit it with another Meteor Beam. This is what happens when you don't respect the Probopass.
really is, and Night of Night's keeping that thing alive because it's so valuable still.
Yeah, good on ASCII to hit the Stone Edge there. It does do a lot of damage into Tornadoes, forces Snake to do a double, not really get much out of that. But
nice job getting some rocks out too.
Yeah, Terra Rock is a very interesting pick. I'm not really sure what that's for.
The bird probably hit the bird.
I don't know. It probably clinches something. But ASCII really not catching a break here, missing a Hurricane now too.
Yeah.
You know, that double, like, back-to-back full para really sucked. That Hurricane miss was also really bad. Loses him some positioning that he just, at this point in the game, really needs.
Yeah. I've also just realized ASCII's naming convention.
It's Family Guy, yeah.
It is Family Guy, yeah. I just realized it.
Oh my god, that tinted lens first impression.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And then he misses another one.
Yep.
You know what? It's honestly, like... I wouldn't say it could have still won because, like, Electrode probably just kills it and definitely outspeeds it, but, like, I don't know. I mean, it could have hit, like, Chi-Yu. Probopass was in range of rocks, you know, low kicks would have died to it, so...
I mean,
like,
a lot of things are in range of dying, actually.
I don't know. I think between Tornadus and Electrode, like, 2 hits from those things, if not just 1 hit from Electrode, would be enough to clinch it, but...
There was still always an option for, like, a win con at the end there, because the Hurricane's, like, not win con necessarily, but at least affecting the diff a little more to help out in that area.
Yeah, but, I mean, again, this is beyond diff at this point. Like, diff is nice, but if you lose, then you're out, and unfortunately, that is the case for ASCII. His very first double dip draft season ends here. Well, it's not like over yet. He still has another game to play, but, you know, he's out of playoffs contention.
Yeah, we still have 1 week left to go. But, well, I mean, you know, nowhere to look now but at the actual diffs and scores and see who's going to make it and who has a chance to, like, you know, finish off this week.
Well, let's have a look. I'll start with the top 4. You can take the bottom 4.
Alrighty.
Leading the pack with an astonishing 6-0 plus 28 record is Scoots of the Dumblespoods army. In second place now, elevated just over Not Pimp. Now in position to take that bye going into week 7 is Kenneth of the washed up Wishiwashis at a 4-2 plus 9. Kracked Kricketunes, Not Pimp in third at a 4-2 plus 8, only 1 diff behind Kenneth. And in fourth place, Snake of Miami Milotics at a 3-3 plus 7.
And the bottom half, we do have Ninetales at a 3-3 minus 4, with the Philadelphia Phantumps at a 2-4 minus 8, the Northern Ninetales at a 2-4 minus 10, and Dan at an 0-6 minus 30, who has now surpassed Woody.
Yeesh, you're totally right. That is rough.
And
that's rough stuff.
This is actually really difficult. So here's the thing. Looking at what's actually left, Ninetales is the only one who has an opportunity to actually make playoffs now. And even then, it's pretty slim.
So, here's the deal. Ninetales in the final week, and I'm going to go quickly pull up the schedule so I can speak with authority.
Yeah.
So, there are 5 people left who can make it into playoffs now, going into week 7. You know, ASCII, Firebolt, Dan, none of them can do it.
Yeah.
But if Ninetales can win his last week and Snake loses his last week, that puts Ninetales in over Snake. Conversely, if Snake wins his week and Ninetales loses his week, Snake is guaranteed in. If they both win, basically that means Snake goes on because the differential is huge. Like, the gap is really, really big. It's too much, I think, for a 6-0-6-0. Actually, it would just about.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even matter, right? Because if you're Miami Milotics and you're just going to get 6-0'd, then Ninetales goes in on win-loss anyway. So
yep.
The diff really just exists as like a, if you win and Snake wins, you're out. So Snake feeling very good about that. What is really important, let's look at the context here. What are the week 7 matches, okay? Ninetales versus ASCII, that's winnable, but it's hard. You know, ASCII is right there, was a playoffs contender through and through, right next to Ninetales up until this week. Mm-hmm. So Ninetales is going to have to make sure he comes correct for that if he wants to win. So what does Snake have left? Snake has not fought Dan.
Oh.
And is going to be fighting the Downtown Dragonites week 7.
Yeah.
So I would say, beyond just having to make it the run, go the distance against ASCII. Snake, basically Nihilus's tournament rests on Dan's ability to upset Snake.
Yeah.
Which is very stressful if you're Nihilus, because then it's out of your hands. You need to get your win, but after you beat ASCII, it's out of your hands. And if you don't play your match until after Snake versus Dan and Snake beats Dan, then it doesn't even matter how well you do, because you're out no matter what.
Yeah.
So the second that Snake gets a win, it's over for Nihilus.
Yeah, and that's basically all it is for the rest of this, because Scoots still is guaranteed the bye no matter what. Between Notpimp and Chemith for the second bye, what's the information on that? Who's Notpimp fighting next? Who's Chemith fighting next?
So Chemith is fighting Scoots next.
Oh.
So Notpimp just had his Scoots match. Now Chemith is going to get his, which is going to be very tough.
Yeah.
Notpimp is fighting Firebolt, who again, very solid player, quite capable of making that upset. Running around the same rough skill level area as Nihilus, and Nihilus beat Notpimp. That was one of Nihilus's wins. So definitely not off the table, but we're looking at a similar situation where, Cam is going to have to be, he's going to have to move mountains. He's going to have to beat Scoots, which no one else has been able to do yet. And Notpimp is handed comparatively a way more doable battle.
Yeah, and on top of that, even if Chemith wins and Notpimp wins, at that point it's down to diff, because they're so close in score actually.
Yeah, the diff is so tight that it's honestly kind of impossible. And what's funny about that is it's almost an equalizer, because Chemith having one up on diff is good, because his head-to-head into Notpimp, he lost that.
Yeah.
So if they tie, Notpimp advances over him, but because he has that one differential point over him right now, he is in position to get the second bye. So the second bye exists on a razor's edge. It is going to go to either... what do you say? So it's going to pretty much either go to Chemith or Notpimp. It could also actually go to Snake.
It
can't go to Nihilus, but Snake could win and have Notpimp and Chemith lose, and Snake could grab the second bye.
Yeah. Because again, the diff is so close for them. We have 28, 987, -4.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Nihilus, God, that week 1 6-0 just haunting him this whole time, making it just that much harder to get in at the very end.
Yeah. But that's all stuff we gotta wait for next week, when we see the end result of all of these divisions. Which division are you looking forward to the most for watching battles?
I think Violet, if I'm being honest.
Why would you say that?
Well, I mean, God, just look at Violet. The storylines out of there are absolutely nerve-wracking. The thing is, Violet has one bye. It's up for grabs between 3 people. Then the 4th spot is up for grabs between 4 people.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually only up for grabs between 3 people.
Yeah.
Mass can't do it anymore. But, between you and Jason and Milo, that's hype. And then the top-end matches are also just as hype, because that bye is so up for grabs.
It really is. And it depends how everyone plays. I'm so nervous about that whole week. I think it's going to be crazy.
Yeah. But you know what? If you want to learn more about Violet, you should go watch Violet Division Recap. Here, we're Teal first.
Yeah! Who's doing Violet? Is it you and Nick?
I already did it.
Oh, was it with Nick?
I already did it with Nick, yeah.
Nice! Well, I hope you enjoy seeing everything greener over in Violet Division as Cody walked away with $1 million.
That's right. 10 million.
10 million, that's right. Sorry.
Don't short me.
I won't short you. Don't worry. I can't. All the money's green. With that being said, though, thank you so much for joining us. Please check out the other vision, like Spoot said. And we'll see you in Week 7 as we prepare for playoffs.
Good luck.
Goodbye.